The part that really breaks my heart is just the damage to the park itself. I think that's going to take a huge hit if we don't have anyone here to protect it. My name's Alex Wild. I am or was a park ranger up until a couple days ago. I've been a park ranger for almost 15 years now. It's just such a rewarding job. There are some days at work where I literally save people's lives, and I'm changing people's lives from the work that I do. I'm a junior ranger.
I'm a junior ranger.
I'll protect the park from danger.
I'll protect the park from danger.
Those are the most rewarding days, when I get to hang out with a bunch of fourth graders and talk to them about rocks and parks and ecology and why all of that stuff is important. That's why I love my job. Because I work at such a small park, I do all sorts of things. I was the only EMT at the park that I worked at. And, unfortunately, someone made the decision to get rid of the only EMT at that park, which just makes me so worried for what would happen to the visitors when they have no one to come and rescue them. Almost every Saturday, there's some sort of emergency that I'm the one running down to come rescue them. And sometimes that's someone who has injured their ankle or leg, like a slip and fall sort of thing. Or sometimes it's just a medical thing that is happening in the park. But, whenever that happens in the park, that becomes something that we respond to. Without me there, it would be hours before someone else could respond to that sort of thing in a park. Several people got, fired on Valentine's Day, the 14th. For me, it was the next day, but, it was really just sent in an email. And that's how everyone else got it too. At first, I didn't believe it. I was just totally in disbelief. So, of course, I made a quick phone call to my boss, and, she confirmed that it's true. One of my good friends works in the park and was fired this past week as well. And he not only lost his job, but he also lost his housing because he was living in government housing. So that's, it's just devastating for him. And, for me, I'm just grieving the loss of so much of my community right now. It's been really hard. My supervisor and all of the park leadership, they're trying their best here. This is such a hard situation for them too, because they're not the ones making this decision. It's coming from higher up, and they're really trying to keep people on board and trying to get seasonals hired for this upcoming season, because it's going to be really hard for everyone if they can't. I think the real tragedy here is, what happens to the parks and what happens to the visitors. The visitor experience is going to be seriously impacted by this. Things are going to be damaged as far as the facilities, and I imagine some facilities might be closed because if we don't have staffing, then we just can't keep those things open. But the part that really breaks my heart is just the damage to the park itself. I mean, I've dedicated my life to protecting this place. That's why I'm here, is to protect the park, the wildlife, the landscape itself. And I think that's going to take a huge hit if we don't have anyone here to protect it. My job is to educate people about protecting the parks and, sometimes enforce the rules when people are breaking them. And that's important, because otherwise people might decide to go drive in the meadow or, make a campfire where they're not allowed to, things that I've actually had to enforce before. And if you're not there to enforce it, then that stuff will just happen, and that damages the park, and then it also ruins the visitor experience for other people. One of my best days at work is when I get to get all of the fourth graders into the park for a big field trip. We call it Every Kid Outdoors. That's really impactful on these kids. They remember it and they think about it all year. The third graders look forward to it because they get to do it next year. And gosh, to think about that going away is just heartbreaking. Those are the programs that are being threatened by firing all of this park staff. There's a lot of misinformation about what a probationary employee means. And, being on probation means that I got a promotion within the last year. that means that I was good at my job. And that applies to everyone who is on probation. It means that they had performed well enough to either get hired into a new job or get promoted recently in the past year. So it's the opposite of what some people are saying, where they think that being on probation means that you've been disciplined or something. No, it means that you're the best. And all of a sudden, they've just cut all of the best out of our workforce. These national parks are like a place where all people love to come visit. And like, this isn't just a certain type of American, this is all Americans love national parks and they cherish these places. Yeah, and this is where everyone comes for recreation, whether that's hiking or fishing. I think the American people are going to stand up on this. I think people are going to fight to protect their parks because Americans love national parks. This is the best idea. So I think we're going to fight to protect these.